my next topic is GFI Mail Essentials. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, what we want to do with email is to store it securely, provide the access to secure the archive, and at the same time, we need to block the bad. We need to block the emails before they will eventually get to the mailbox of the final user. As I mentioned, we don't want to be left at mercy of the end user, that he will do the wrong call, the wrong decision, which will eventually place a business into risk. So the best way how to do it is to block the email not on the mail server. Of course, I mean, if there is no other possibility, let's block it wherever we can block it. But the best approach is to block it before the mail server. One of the main reasons why is because the 60% of all emails being received is spam. That means that if you are going to block the 60% of all emails in front of your mail server, you're going to offload the mail server significantly. So this could be easily addressed with a product called GFI Mail Essentials. Before we'll get into the graph to explain how it actually works, let's have a look on what are the features. So the features are that it has multi-antivirus engines. It has policy-based content and spam filtering, advanced threat and updates, and outbound filtering. So when it comes to the multiple antivirus engines, in this case, we have the ability to to actually do the Kaspersky antivirus, Siren antivirus. What are the other tools? I always forget. Bitdefender, Kaspersky, Siren, and Avira. Yeah, so those are the 4 antivirus engines which are available within the product. So all of those 4 antivirus engines are going to filter every single email coming to your organization. Now you might think that, okay, it will slow down the email. Yep, that's true. Email will be a little bit delayed, but we need to understand that email is not a real-time correspondence. It's not a chat. So if an email will be slowed down by 1 or 2 seconds, no one will really care. What everyone will care if there are no viruses in that email. And this exactly could be delivered with multiple antivirus engines and decompression engines and other features which are available in this case. Every single engine will scan it, and by doing that, every single engine will contribute to the overall security. This is the key, because even when all the vendors, including GFI, will always say that, hey, we are the best, just buy our products, we are the best. It's not entirely always true. Every vendor has a certain specialization. Every vendor has a strong points and weak points. And if you are combining 4 different antivirus engines, you are not only combining the names, but you are combining the strong points. And in this case, the strong point will be the ability to recognize a virus. Yeah. So what could be, for example, not recognized by Bitdefender could be easily recognized by Kaspersky. So if you would not have, for example, the secondary or tertial or the 4th antivirus engine, then the malicious content which is embedded in the email could be easily passing through. Besides of that, there are a few other, sorry, this should be actually the slide with Bitdefender, Avira, and etc. Besides of that, the GFI Mail Essentials has multiple anti-spam engines. The idea behind the multiple anti-spam engines is exactly the same. You don't want to have only 2 or 3 filters and believe that they will be able to capture the majority of the spam coming to your organization. You want to add every single part of it. Basically, the idea is to create a multi-layered security. Yeah, the multi-layered security means that you are going to add as many layers, as many obstacles for the malicious content to pass through. So GFI Mail Essentials is fully packed with different anti-spam techniques. So you can find like sender policy frameworks, which is more or less industry standard. You can find language detection, gray listing, anti-spoofing, spam keyword checking, whitelisting, email block list, directory harvesting, anti-phishing, spam razor, and the list goes on and on and on. Every single of these anti-spam techniques could have a separate configuration. You can change the order in which it will be processed. So under normal circumstances, the spam razor will be one of the first anti-spam techniques actually processing your email. If you will be seeing that, for example, SPF is more successful for whatever reason to actually intercept the spam and block the spam, then you can easily just change the SPF to be at the first of your list. So you can just easily block as soon as possible. Besides of the anti-spam techniques, there are also keyword or let's say content techniques. The content techniques in the GFI Mail Essentials have two different purposes. The first purpose is obviously block the unwanted content, which can be negative for your users, or it could be, for example, a spam or a malicious content in disguise, which eventually was not blocked by a configured anti-spam technique or by configured antivirus. I mean, it can happen, and it all depends on the configuration of the product. What I'm always used to say to our customers who are using the GFI Mail Essentials, there isn't a single configuration pattern which you can use. Every single business is different. What can apply for one might not for another. So every single business, every single customer needs to have their own unique configuration when it comes to use of the content filtering, when it comes to anti-spam techniques, when it comes to antiviruses. You always need to have a separate approach, which is being learned by doing. Yeah. The, you can do some default by in the beginning, but the default will not help you. You always need to change the configuration on the fly. The content filtering is consisting of four different engines. The keyword checking, which is quite simple. The attachment filtering, which is quite complex because it can actually look inside of the attachment, which could be a very valuable feature. Then you have the advanced content filtering, which is also including regex. So you can be very precise in actually determining what you want to block. And finally, the decompression engine. As we know that a lot of users are sending zip files or RAR files, so with the decompression engine, the GFI Mail Essentials can actually have a look inside and then apply the subsequent content filtering techniques, for example, covering the keyword checking or the content filtering and attachment filtering as it is. Also, one mention to attachment filtering that it's a little bit more clever, and it will also recognize the change in the extensions. So what the majority of users are doing, and they know that in most cases it will pass, if the attachment, for example, an executable is not able to be delivered, they will just simply change the extension to something they are certain it will be delivered, for example, to PDF or to Word or some other files. So with GFI Mail Essentials, that will be blocked. So this can apply for all the incoming emails. So you can easily block bad content to be received by your users. But vice versa, you can use the same policies. Well, not the same policies, but same engines with a different set of policies to block the content going from your users to the internet. Yeah, so basically, the GFI Mail Essentials could be a part of your overall DLP solution, so-called data leakage prevention solution. So it could be very precise in blocking the bad content which you, for example, don't want to share. I don't know, credit card numbers, insurance policies, or I don't know, some specific details about your business, your clients, or your company. It could be anything, but you can create those rules. And the GFI archiver, which we covered previously, and most specifically the feature called Mail Insights, if you remember, these Mail Insights can actually produce the data which can help you to create the content policies. As mentioned previously, the archiver is not going to change or intercept anything. It has the archive. The Mail Essentials will be able to intercept, but how can you actually learn about what should be stopped if you don't have the reports and you don't have the data? So at some point, you need to learn about what your users are doing, which could be delivered with the Mail Insights and GFI Archiver. And this intelligence could be then later on be used in the GFI Mail Essentials to adjust or to create the content policies to block content exiting your business, exiting your environment. So that being said, let's have a look on how this actually looks like. I mean, how it works. So the GFI Mail Essentials could be, for example, deployed in two different modes. One is the SMTP mode, which I have exactly on this slide. The second capability is to deploy Mail Essentials directly on Microsoft Exchange server. So those two things could be totally integrated. They can talk to each other, and they could be very sterile when it comes to blocking spam. But let's focus on the SMTP deployment, because the SMTP deployment is covering a wider range of mail servers. Of course, it can also work with Microsoft Exchange. It can work with Zimbra, Lotus Domino, Office 365, Carrier Connect, etc. In this case, the GFI Mail Essentials will act like an email gateway. So it will receive the SMTP traffic coming from the internet. It will process the SMTP traffic with all these features which I mentioned. So different anti-spam techniques, content filters, antivirus engines, everything will be processed on the Mail Essentials server. Once the email will be purely sanitized, they will be sent again through the SMTP to the final destination, which will be your mail server. So your mail server will at any given time receive only the legitimate email, as everything else will be stopped by the Mail Essentials. The Mail Essentials also has the ability of quarantine. It has an ability to do different settings when it comes how email will be blocked, what should be the response, if it should be deleted, if you want to warn the administrator, warn the user. All of these things are possible. The GFI Mail Essentials could recognize users in three different ways. It could recognize users with use of Active Directory. It could recognize user over the SMTP. So basically all the incoming, well, outbound messages received on the SMTP from your home mail server will be automatically determined that those are the local users. Or you can then basically synchronize the local users from the mail server, for example, from Microsoft Exchange. So one addition to the overall security, and in this case, I understand that in some that administrators are not seeing the value, is the integration with Outlook, which is being done with a plugin called the Spam Tag. With use of the Spam Tag, you can basically put your security level to a different perspective. You can use a basic user as an additional layer of security. This means that the user, once, for example, the malicious email or some unwanted email will pass to the user can highlight that email, and he can feed back the system, the Bayesian filter, that this is an unwanted email. So he can feedback the Mail Essentials. And also the user can create or construct their own whitelist and their own blacklist or block list. So they can eventually have their own policies on the email they want to receive or they really don't want to receive. And this whitelist and blocklist can be also synchronized with the overall whitelist and blocklist of the entire GFI Mail Essentials. So a good user who understands the security, he can contribute to the overall security of the system. So under the hood, the GFI Mail Essentials, well, let's first have a look on how the SMTP works. Yeah. So there are a lot of handshakes before the actual email is received. So actual email is received over here. Yeah. And this is exactly the point before which we want to block as much as possible. So it will get to the user. Yeah. So as I mentioned, the GFI Mail Essentials is an email gateway. So the receiving of the email will be firstly happening on that server where the GFI Mail Essentials is deployed. So during the SMTP transfer or during the SMTP handshake, the GFI Mail Essentials will be able to perform already 4 different anti-spam techniques. So it can actually reject the email before it will be fully received, before the data is received by the server. So it can apply the gray listing, IP block list, IP DNS block list, and directory harvesting. Yes, so obviously all of these 4 anti-spam techniques are using the information which is obvious already during the SMTP handshake. That is, who is the sender, who is the receiver, what is the sender domain, and sender IP address. After that, GFI Mail Essentials, pretty much once the email is fully received, in this case, it will apply the antivirus engines and anti-malware engines. As I mentioned previously, we have 4 different antivirus engines: Siren, Bitdefender, Kaspersky, and Avira. Again, we can change the order. So for example, Kaspersky could be more successful with blocking the malware which is aiming on your company. For someone else, it could be Bitdefender. So you can always change the order, but if the email will not be stopped by the first antivirus engine, it will definitely be stopped by the last one. Yeah, because the email will need to pass all 4 antivirus engines plus the anti-malware techniques such as the HTML sanitizer, the what was the other name? Well, I'm sure I'm going to remember. Yeah, Trojan and executable scanner and others. Once it passed the antivirus engines and anti-malware engines, it will go to the content filtering, which we discussed in the previous slides. So we will apply the decompression engine, the keyword, the advanced keyword, or the attachment filtering on the email. And once this has passed, then the GFI Mail Essentials will apply the remaining 10 or 11 anti-spam techniques. Yeah. So all of these will happen before the Mail Essentials will actually send the email to your mail server. Yeah. And then, of course, your mail server can have additional antivirus check or additional anti-spam checking. So you are basically, as mentioned previously, you are successfully constructing a multi-layered security approach. As also described by Olaf in the beginning, Carrier Connect has an antivirus, has different set of rules, and has anti-spam techniques. So you are combining all this together to actually make sure that the weakest spot of every organization, which is the user, will not receive a bad email where we actually will be in the mercy of that user. So to top it off, as I see that we are having only 4 minutes left in the session, GFI Mail Essentials will add to the table 4 antivirus engines, 5 content filters, and 15 anti-spam techniques. So as mentioned previously, the aim is to block the bad to be received by the user, because once it's received by the user, we might have a problem. So the combination of the free products which we offer in our portfolio, GFI Mail Essentials as the email gateway, Carrier Connect as the mail server, and GFI Archiver as the email archive and business intelligence tool, we are able to deliver a high security to the end user. Plus, also we are able to deliver multiple other content or features to the end user, such as the multi-client and device support, self-service emails, delegations and quarantine, policy-based content and spam filtering, multiple antivirus engines, advanced threat updates, easy-to-use migration tools, integrated and secure access management, domain, email, and connectivity encryption, automated archiving management, tamper-proof archiving, and advanced search and e-discovery of emails. So still have 3 minutes left for the questions and answers. So if you have anything which interests you, or if you have any other question through all 3 products, then please feel free to ask, and with Olaf we'll be very happy to answer them.